I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know
he just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this, but I want to fight you.
AJ this morning, he went, listen, of course I'd fight. I mean, you know, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was,
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah. but he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it for the sake of it. But obviously we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events.
Look into the camera and say it directly because it just has to be said. Jake Paul, sir, you are absolutely delusional.
Jake Paul has been vocal about his desire to face top-tier boxers. And now Anthony Joshua has weighed in a conversation with his promoter, Eddie Hearn. Joshua simply said, I'd fight him. Hearn shared this statement, emphasizing that AJ is not afraid of any challenge, although a matchup between them seems unlikely due to their vast difference in experience. Joshua's response has definitely sparked some attention. It's unclear whether Paul is being serious or just trying to stir things up, but one thing is certain, AJ is always prepared.
I want to ask you a question because the world of media went mental this morning. Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. Please put this to bed or light the fire. What's going on?
I mean, sorry. This is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, like, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'd do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you. And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But, you know, the only thing that was disappointing was he says 2026. I mean, that's like calling someone out. That's like me saying, you know, LA Olympics for the surfing 2028, I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do it in 2025 if you really want to do it. You're not going to get really much better at this stage, but I don't know. Those two have spoken. I spoke to AJ this morning. He went, listen, of course I'd fight. I mean, you know, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was,
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah. But he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it for the sake of it. But obviously we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events, right? You know that's going to create like unbelievable viewership, and no disrespect to Jake Paul, it's a straightforward night's work. But you know, I like this calling out of Canelo and all this. AJ it's another challenge up there. But you know, if they're game, why not?
What did he say, AJ, to you about it?
He said, why not? I said, what do you want me to say when I'm asked about it? And he said, tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime. It's not a problem for me.
Jake Paul has taunted Anthony Joshua, claiming AJ has no chin, lacks skills, and is too rigid. The YouTuber turned boxer posted an image of Joshua on a phone call with the caption, "Look who called 2026 Anthony Joshua." Paul insists he could defeat the former heavyweight champion, leading to a heated debate. In retaliation, Joshua shared a screenshot on Instagram of himself speaking with Jake Paul, shortly after Paul publicly challenged him. This exchange on social media has led fans to question whether the fight could become a reality. Meanwhile, Paul also posted a statement from BVAFA Sports, mentioning that Paul had sent them a list of fighters he plans to face in 2025 and 2026, which included Anthony Joshua. According to BVAFA, Paul is serious about this challenge. Fans have strong opinions on the potential bout, with many believing Jake Paul fighting a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua is both unrealistic and overly confident.
Real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects.
Reports suggest Jake Paul is also preparing for a fight against Gervonta Tank Davis. This comes after Davis's controversial bout with Lamont Roach. However, Paul has expressed his ongoing desire to fight Anthony Joshua, demonstrating his ambition to challenge big names across different weight divisions.
Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing earlier that day, or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true, or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional. but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, you know, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work?
After his fight with Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis took the opportunity to call out Jake Paul during the post-fight press conference. This unexpected challenge has added more drama to Jake Paul's rising boxing career.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Jake Paul's audacious challenge to Anthony Joshua, a two-time heavyweight champion, has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Many are stunned that Paul, with his limited experience, is making such bold claims about a fighter like Joshua.
Has just called Anthony Joshua out. Yes, Anthony Joshua, AJ, the two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. This brother called this man out. Oh my God. Now, in a recent clip on Jake Paul's podcast, I think, he basically said that he will beat Anthony Joshua's ass and he has no skill, no chin, and he's too stiff for him. He also apologized to Anthony, saying, Anthony, I'm sorry, we're friends, but I know I can beat your ass. This guy is tapped in the head. Then again, he almost got a fight with Tank. If Tank beat Lamont Roach when they drew, he would have fought Jake Paul. It was lined up, basically. A lot of people get mad when people say he's the face of boxing. These highly rated boxers want to fight Jake Paul. So, I don't know what to say, honestly. But one thing for sure, AJ will never fight. AJ's too classy for that. Way too classy. He respects the sport of boxing too much to fight this guy. Absolute plonker. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And make sure you follow for the most up-to-date and sharpest boxing news and content.
The boxing community has quickly responded to Jake Paul's comments. Critics are pointing to Paul's loss against Tommy Fury, questioning his credibility in assessing Joshua's skills. One Twitter user posted, YouTube boxer Jake Paul, who lost to Tommy Fury, says heavyweight Anthony Joshua has no chin, no skill, is stiff, and that he beat him. What is this guy talking about? Despite the backlash, Anthony Joshua appears open to the idea of fighting Paul. His promoter, Eddie Hearn, revealed that Joshua's response was, listen, I'd fight him. While this shows Joshua's willingness, most boxing experts consider the matchup unrealistic due to the massive disparity in skill and experience. Some even call the idea delusional, doubting it would be a competitive contest.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and like, I'm actually being dead serious. Like, I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather McGregor. Like, you know, it can't.
MMA fighter Anthony Smith has weighed in on Jake Paul's approach, suggesting that Paul targets legendary fighters for big paydays. Smith believes Paul's strategy revolves around trash-talking well-known boxers to secure high-profile and lucrative fights. Many critics agree, pointing out that Paul often selects older or less active opponents, a practice that has sparked controversy among boxing fans.
Our legends, older, shorter, smaller, past their prime legends that have spent their entire careers running their bodies into fucking car accidents, and then we hold these guys near and dear to our heart. And then this fuckhead just pulls them out of fucking semi-retirement, and then his...
Jake Paul's ambitions stretch beyond boxing, as he's also expressed interest in facing MMA star Conor McGregor. Paul claims his boxing skills are improving while suggesting that McGregor's abilities are fading with age, many remain skeptical of this claim, given McGregor's extensive experience and accomplishments in combat sports. Paul's comments highlight his confidence and his strategy of challenging high-profile athletes to enhance his own reputation in the fighting world.
McGregor's done.
I think he has to come back and fight, but he needs to win.
Will he fight you?
I don't think he will. I think my skill level is outgrowing his in boxing, and I have the height advantage. He can't beat me, and I think he probably knows that. And time, he's only getting older, and I'm only getting better.
Many fans are eager to see a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, mostly because they believe Joshua would dominate and humble Paul. Paul has a history of calling out top fighters and claiming superiority, making him one of the most polarizing figures in combat sports. Fans argue that his confidence in challenging Joshua is unrealistic due to the significant gap in experience, skill, and weight class. Nevertheless, the potential matchup has generated significant buzz, with some hoping Joshua will put an end to Paul's bold claims in the ring.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP in Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5.
Anthony Joshua has finally shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's growing influence in boxing. While he admits that Paul lacks substantial boxing experience, he acknowledges that Paul has brought financial success and major paydays to the sport. Joshua recognizes that Paul's ability to attract attention has introduced a new audience to boxing, something that traditional boxing fans might not always appreciate.
Thoughts on Jake Paul?
Yeah, good. Great for boxing. Good luck to him. He's trying. Zero amateur experience, throwing himself in the deep end. I guarantee you he'll probably learn a lot more than a lot of fighters will that are just half-hearted with it. Man's throwing himself in the deep end, putting himself under pressure. When you can deal with that amount of pressure, you have to get better at it. So yeah, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Interestingly, Jake Paul has long admired Anthony Joshua, calling him one of his favorite fighters. Despite his recent trash talk, Paul has previously praised Joshua's skills and accomplishments. However, Paul now seems frustrated with boxing, criticizing the sport for focusing too much on money and politics, rather than making the biggest fights happen.
Everyone's been wanting to see it happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Jake Paul has boldly declared himself the only real fighter in boxing, claiming that he brings the most excitement to the sport. While some traditional boxers dismiss YouTube boxing, Anthony Joshua has taken a more measured view. He believes YouTube boxing has positively impacted the sport by attracting new fans and boosting viewership. Joshua admits that fighters like Jake Paul have introduced boxing to a younger audience that may not have been interested otherwise.
What do you make of this YouTube
10 out of 10. I'm telling you, it's good for boxing because it's showing people you can fight someone that is well-known, credible, can fight, marketable, without a championship, and have that same effect early on in your career, and you can still get all the rewards anyway. So I think that they're showing guys, oh, hang on a minute, there's so much potential in boxing regardless of championships. And I think it's good because now people start taking more risks early on. These guys coming into the game are changing the landscape for the better, showcasing that if you have a business mind on, marketable, creative, content driven, obviously talented, you can generate big business and do great things.
Jake Paul frequently calls out boxing legends, offering them lucrative paydays, and then trash-talking them after fights. His match against Tommy Fury ended in his first professional loss. Yet Paul continues to claim he is the biggest name in boxing.
Who is the most power you've ever felt in a fight?
I would say Tommy Fury. It's the shots you don't see. So Tommy was a little tricky. Mike's punches I could see coming. He was strong, but he didn't land anything clean. So I honestly didn't feel Mike Tyson's full power, but that's good. I mean, you don't want to. So
I feel like he lost confidence second round. Like he stopped giving his all.
He just started surviving.
One of Jake Paul's most controversial moves was calling out Mike Tyson. Tyson, a former heavyweight champion and one of the most feared fighters in history, was far past his prime when Paul suggested a fight. Although Paul later won a separate fight by decision, fans were outraged at the prospect of him challenging an aging legend like Tyson. Many considered it disrespectful to Tyson's legacy.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah, I think that's what I'd heard. You know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude.
Me too.
And he was a larger than life figure in my childhood.
Truly, me
when
too.
I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like people don't understand what a champ he was. Like he wasn't just the heavyweight champ of the world. He was an executioner. Like
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter
I don't
of how
remember
long was it going to last.
which fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights, and I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and that's when I met Tyson in the green room.
Watching Netflix on Friday night, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson?
Yes, I was. But what did I make of it? I think commercially and a business sense, thought it was absolutely fantastic. Both men made a ton of money. So best of luck to them. Congratulations. As far as the boxing fight, it wasn't a fight. It was a tip and tap. Don't hit me, I won't hit you. Circle the ring a little bit. Make it look good. That's all it was. So I don't really make too much of it.